Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 77 of the Super Grapple Bros podcast about two brothers who used to work at WWE. They like to talk about wrestling, shocker, and video games, the gaming and the wrestling. We are here with our WWE Royal Rumble 2019 and NXT TakeOver Phoenix review show. We've also got plenty of stuff happening in gaming involving Dragon Ball Z, PlayStation 5, a new Overwatch map, statement from EA, whole lot of good stuff, but this is mostly going to be a wrestling-focused show. So I am one of your hosts, Murpho, and I am joined as always by
DMurph.
Well, actually not as always by, because he's like Brock Lesnar, where he only works limited dates.
Yeah, because I have to work other dates, like how I almost had to work this entire weekend and every other weekend for about 6 months, and that still may happen.
Excuses. Poor excuses.
Yeah.
Not good enough. You need to be here all the time. You need to be you need to find a way to defy the laws of physics and physically be in two places at the same time.
I'll do my best.
Your best isn't good enough. Just do it. Okay? Good?
I'll try.
All right. Anyway, do you want to just we're on a bit of a time constraint this week, so you want to just cut right into it, get right into the review?
Sounds good to me.
All right, let's get into it. NXT TakeOver Phoenix. Proving once again that it is very hard for NXT to have a bad takeover.
Yep, and it's very hard for WWE main roster to top NXT's show that's usually half as long.
But the WWE show actually did a
did a good job.
Made a good run at it, though.
I agree. But I'm just pointing out that that's how good NXT is, where it's basically every time there's a takeover, it's, well, takeover's probably going to be better. But
from a pure wrestling standpoint, yeah. And from our subjective opinion, is that the way you say it? Takeover is normally better than the main roster shows, but the main roster shows have been pretty entertaining. The Royal Rumble was really good. I think this is one of the better Royal Rumbles, if not one of the best Royal Rumbles maybe we've had in a long time. Last year was great.
Yeah.
I don't know if it matched up to last year, because last year was really great, but when you compare it to like maybe the last 10 years, when we had things like 2014, 15, and 16, that lovely trifecta.
Yeah.
it was really good. It was really entertaining.
Yeah.
But the TakeOver Phoenix, that was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We're starting off with what I think it's close between this and another match, in my opinion, that was match of the night.
I agree.
But this one, what a way to kick it off.
Yes.
Like, what is it with WWE needs to find a way to like just maybe talk to Trips and the creative team at NXT and be like, hey, you guys are consistently making amazing tag team rivalries and matches. How can we do that here? Because the War Raiders versus Undisputed Era, those two teams tore it up.
Yes.
It was incredible.
You see, the issue is they're like, wow, the tag teams on NXT are really good. Let's bring them up to the main roster and then not use them well.
Yeah.
Like,
whereas it's like, hey, like these War Raider guys, they're really like big and strong and intimidating, and they were really big in this other company, and they know what they're doing. So we're just gonna let them, destroy people, do their thing.
Unlike how with the main roster is like, let's take this really good, really popular tag team of American Alpha and then split them up not long after we bring them up. And then we'll do this whole Sun angle with Kurt Angle, and it's like, no, but yeah.
Wait,
but anyway, this match was really good.
Wait, you mean Kurt Angle and Jason Jordan aren't related?
I never said that. I'm just saying they went with that angle.
Again, without fail. We were able to escape it last week.
Yes.
Without the telephone ringing, but the telephone is ringing. I think what I should do from now on is whenever we do with the podcast, I'll just take the phone and just bring it downstairs. Or maybe I'll just throw it up against the wall and I'll just put all the pieces together afterwards.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
So I think that's the last ring. Okay, good. I was just filling airtime to talk over the phone.
So good match.
Yeah, it was a good match. I think I realized now that I've messed up in sending the tweet for our show because I picked the wrong GIF, because I should have looked for a GIF of that cartwheel.
Which one? There was a couple.
Any of them. Or the handspring rebound back elbow.
Yes. Which
Holy crap.
I was watching it not live because I thought the show started at 8 like the takeovers normally do, and it started at 7. So I was starting at 8 watching it and watching it from the beginning.
See,
and I was pointing out to my wife, like, do you see all these things this very large man is doing?
and that
she
he
was
should not
ignoring
be
it.
doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I actually thought the show was starting at 8 as well, and I was like, there might be a chance the main show starts at 7, so I'm going to start streaming my reactions at 7. Thank God I did, because I just caught the beginning of, like, the main show for both sides.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No, I'm talking about the Royal Rumble. I'm all over the place.
I
Not
always
TakeOver.
talk about TakeOver, how it started at 7.
TakeOver, yeah, that was a shock. The TakeOver started at 7. I was like, oh my God, it's 9 o'clock, and, like, they're already up to, like, the main event already.
Yeah.
But yeah, this match was good, and good Lord are the War Raiders athletic.
Mm-hmm. And the one thing I have to say about this is what Triple H said about the War Raiders entrance, which is when you have Vikings, you use Vikings.
Yeah, and that was a great entrance, and that
Yes.
but that was also a prime example of when somebody gets a special entrance, chances are they're
gonna
winning.
win. Yep.
Fun fact, by the way, Sarah Logan
Was one of the Vikings.
was one of the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, her and
Rowe
Rowe
are
just
married.
had their Viking wedding, so
Yeah. So that was props to the War Raiders for picking up the win. I thought Undisputed Era might retain. I'm honestly shocked that Bobby Fish went to the back and we didn't see any Adam Cole whatsoever on the show, by the way.
That's not true.
Well,
Well, I mean,
yes,
technically,
it is.
yeah,
yes,
not
it
on the
is,
show
because it
but
didn't
yeah.
happen on the
Yeah,
show.
that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, I was shocked.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked too, but at the same time, I think they got something planned with them.
Yeah. So yeah, props to the War Raiders
Mhm.
for winning them tag belts. It was quite possibly the match of the night, but we'll
Yes.
talk about the match that rivals it. And I'm just like, I don't know which one to pick. It's not the next match though. Well, the next match was pretty good.
Mhm.
Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ohno.
Yeah, very good match.
Mhm.
Not the best, but very good.
I think it was definitely they gave the props to Cassius Ohno in this one by making him be very methodical in his attack on Riddle.
And biting toes.
Oh yeah, that was great. The fact that I love the
Okay.
fact that he utilized the fact that Matt Riddle doesn't wear shoes.
You could say the part where he bites toes is great.
Really?
I like the part where he stomped on
That
the
was
foot,
what I was about to bring up before
But-
you cut me off.
But you first were saying it with him biting a toe.
That's an interesting thing.
Yeah, because
Um,
that's my mother-in-law.
Yeah, I don't know why she's calling the house.
Yeah, very odd, but okay.
Maybe you should check to see if you have any texts.
I do not.
You do not? Ah,
Nope.
that's weird. And that's the second time she called, I think, by the way.
I
back to
think
back.
so too.
Anyway, let's keep going. Matt Riddle, Cassius Ohno. Good match.
Yeah, very
Entertaining
good.
match. I think it did what it needed to do. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Any other comments on this match before we move on?
Wear some shoes.
I kind of like the whole thing that Matt Riddle doesn't have shoes, and it created this interesting dynamic with
It's-
Ohno attacking.
Yeah,
the foot.
but I'm saying that from the perspective of, oh God, I don't want to see anything bad happen to your feet. Please put on shoes.
But bro,
It's more of a parental.
but bro, that's not really chill, bruh. That's
Alright,
not.
I'm just
that's
gonna
not
ignore
copacetic,
you
bruh.
until you're done with this.
What's the matter, bruh? Bro. All right. Next match?
Yes.
Next match. We've got what I feel, like I said, it's close between this and the tag match. It's the best match of the night.
My
North
opinion,
American-
this is my favorite match of the night.
The North American Championship, Johnny Gargano versus Ricochet.
Mhm.
Jesus Christ, these two men killed each other pretty much.
Yes. And Ricochet was very upset afterwards.
Very sad, Ricochet.
Yes. Do you know why he was very sad?
Why was he very sad?
Because he did not stick the landing of the Hurricane Rana reversal into a front flip. He didn't land perfectly on his feet.
He
and
landed
apparently,
well enough, but didn't land it perfectly. I'm sure Will Ospreay gave him crap about that, didn't he?
he didn't so much give him crap so much as, I know this is eating him alive, and he responded with, yes it is, because he's done it in the past, landing perfectly, and you could even see by the look on his face that he's like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah. They basically just decided they were going to recreate that spot from New Japan with Ibushi and Ospreay, but instead with Gargano and Ricochet.
Yeah.
But-
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Heck of a
very good
match.
match. Yeah.
Interesting that it ended on a suplex onto the concrete. I thought it'd be something more
technically it ended with
Interesting.
the slingshot DDT,
Yeah, that's true.
which Ricochet sold like a champ.
Yeah. Thought he was dead.
Yep.
Thought that man was DED.
Yep.
Dead.
But very good match, and Gargano pulled out the win as I guessed he would.
Yeah, good for you. But
I was
will
actually
point
wearing
out-
my Johnny Gargano shirt.
But I will point out it happened pretty much as I was saying that I thought it was going to, that he was going to reach a point of desperation, that he was going to basically give in to what Ciampa was telling him to do.
Yeah, but you picked the other guy.
I'm just... Can we review this match and just not talk about... I'm
Okay,
trying to talk about like how, how the match went. Yes, I picked against him, but that was because I was trying to be a contrarian and pick against you.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I could potentially win the predictions championship. From now on, I'm just going with my instincts. That way I can just say I'm right. I will have you know, even though you predicted all of this show correctly, I predicted all of the last TakeOver correctly. So you know what? Maybe I should just pick without you in mind, huh?
Okay.
All right, I'll do that. All right. That match was good, though.
Yes.
Anyway. Next match, Shayna Baszler versus Bianca Belair. Really?
I thought it was all right. I'm just not a big fan of Bianca Belair. I think my favorite part was Shayna pulling Bianca's hair to pull her into the turnbuckle, because that was a really good spot.
That was a good spot.
But I felt like it was them trying to overcompensate with Bianca, of her doing a bunch of ridiculous stuff in the beginning to compensate for the fact that she wouldn't be able to do all that for the rest of the match. It's weird. It felt like they were trying to rush all of her impressive offense for the beginning of the match because of the fact that there was going to be this injury angle, whatever, during the match.
I think that was interesting. That beeping, by the way,
Low battery.
Yeah, that's a low battery on my my fire alarm. All kinds of sounds are coming in on this episode. Yep. That's great. Gonna be great for people with headphones.
Yeah,
random beeping going on.
What I meant by that mostly though was I feel like this was the weakest match on the show. Not saying it was a bad match, but I felt like it was the weakest.
It was okay. I think it did a good job of establishing Bianca Belair for the future with the way that she resisted Shayna Baszler's sleeper submission.
Yeah.
And I did really like the spot where she took her massive ponytail and whipped Shayna Baszler so hard across the stomach that it left like a little tiny mark, gash almost in her side.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of blood from it.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you just want to keep going.
Yeah.
Are you sure? You sure you don't want this to get dragged out?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, especially since I'd rather talk about the next match.
What was the next match?
The next match was Tommaso Ciampa successfully defending his NXT championship against Aleister Black in what I thought was a really good match with really good psychology.
I loved the psychology. And that's the other thing, too. If I recall correctly, there was good psychology in Riddle versus Ono. Mm-hmm. There was good psychology in War Raiders and Undisputed Era, and even in Gargano and Ricochet, I believe. Like, there was even in the Royal Rumble, which we'll get to in the future as well, like, there was a lot of matches where there was a lot lot of ring psychology as far as limb targeting and whatnot.
Which
and this
I'm
match,
a big fan of.
This match might have been the best, though.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
With Tommaso Ciampa attacking the leg of Aleister Black. Yes. Not the kicking leg, but the planting leg.
Yeah.
Which is what he needs in order to twist in order to hit the Black Mass kick.
Exactly. And which one thing I do want to point out quickly that we have not talked about before is I love the themes for the attires of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa during this event.
Oh, yeah, I found out about it after the fact. Wolverine and Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since they were in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what it would mean for them from a storyline standpoint, just because of the fact that it's like, well, does that mean that Tommaso is going to kill Johnny? Maybe it's foreshadowing. Maybe Johnny's going to become so overly evil after Tommaso lures him to the dark side that Tommaso has to kill him out of mercy.
It's possible.
Because that's the way it plays out in the comics, kind of. Not so much that Wolverine lures Jean Grey to the dark side, but the fact that Dark Phoenix becomes so overwhelmingly dark and destructive that Wolverine has no choice but to kill her.
Yeah.
So
you never know.
Interesting attire.
But after the match, there was also the nice moment.
Was there anything else after during the match you want to talk about?
I thought it was a little ridiculous that it had not one, not two, not even three, but four finishers from Tommaso.
Yeah? Was there?
Yes, because he did it once, and Alistair kicked out, and then he did it a second time,
twice, right?
and Alistair kicked out, and then he did it a third time, and then he picked him up to do it a fourth, and Alistair did some reversals, but Tommaso got it for a fourth time, and I was just kind of like, it could have just pinned him after the third time.
They're just making sure that they protect Alistair Black, brother.
I understand, but still, 3 finishers plus an injured knee to what you need for your finisher, still pretty good job protecting him.
Because that's right. Because Ciampa's new finisher now is the Angel Wings, which they're calling the fairy tale ending, right?
Yeah, he's been using that for a while now, as far as I know. It's just he hasn't really used it on a takeover.
Yeah, because like when I heard Ronaldo saying fairy tale ending, I'm like, is that his new finisher? And I was like, oh, I guess this is his new finisher.
Yeah, I think he's been using that since I think he used that to beat Alistair for the title months and months ago.
Because I can't remember if he used it against Velveteen.
He didn't use it against Velveteen. They teased it, but he didn't actually use it against Velveteen.
I did like, though, however, how they were showing, and this is also like a nice hint of just consistency and storytelling across different matches and with different people, is how Gargano in his match, when he almost reached the point of desperation against Ricochet, resulted to his DIY super kick on Ricochet.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ciampa later, in desperation on Black, went for the DIY knee to Black, which I think Black countered. I don't think he hit that. I know Gargano hit his super kick on Ricochet, I believe. But I don't think Ciampa hit the knee. But it was a nice little continuation of how, like, they're all out of options, so they go back to their roots.
Yeah.
And almost, like, tease the fact of what's going to happen after the match.
Yeah. It was very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Including the after the match where Johnny Gargano came out and held his new NXT North American Championship high, while Tommaso Ciampa did the same thing with the NXT Championship.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was you. I can't remember if it was you or somebody in chat who mentioned it this week, was how if you look at Gargano, I can't remember where I saw from. Maybe it was from a video that I watched, but apparently if you pay attention to Gargano at the end of TakeOver, and then apparently at the end of his tapings, I think I saw it in an article, at the end of the tapings that they did, when they both raised their titles, Gargano still takes a couple glances at the NXT Championship with a look of longing and desire, apparently.
I know what you're talking about because I saw people posting about that on Twitter, and I personally just want to say that I think that is BS, because it was pictures, freeze frames from the end of TakeOver, and it's literally one frame out of a video, and I watched the end of it over again with that whole situation, and it was more of he happened to be looking towards the title for literally a second, just like if you're turning your head and looking, and they caught it right at this right time when he goes to just look at Tommaso. He doesn't gaze at the title or anything. It's just him looking over at Tommaso.
Still, even if it was just like a quick look and then a look away, like
I said, it's not. It wasn't even really that. It was just they made it.
That did happen. I was saying, like, if that was the case of what happened, like, it didn't have to be like him staring at it. Like, even if he just looked casually at it like that, and then like looked for like maybe held it for like half a second or a second, and then looked away, that would be something.
Yeah, but whatever.
I think that would be interesting.
It would be.
Just to be like, yeah, Gargano won a championship, but he's still not satisfied because no disservice to the North American Championship, because, you know, look at who's held it, but like it's not the championship in NXT. And I feel like I would love to see Johnny Gargano win the championship in WWE before him and Ciampa go wherever they're gonna go.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Mm-hmm. But that wasn't technically all that happened after the match. You want to talk about what happened when a TakeOver went off air?
Yeah, after it went off air, Velveteen, who was not on the card, came out and confronted them and got in Ciampa and Gargano's face. And then Adam Cole came out and started getting in Dreen's face. And then Ricochet came out, and then Alistair came up the ramp, and they were kind of at odds and got into a brawl. And then Ciampa, Gargano, and Cole went into the back, and then the other three came back into the back and started up the brawl again, and then they finally got separated, and then Triple H got in Aleister Black, Ricochet, and Velveteen's face, being like, calm down, with a look on his face like, if you don't knock this shit off, you're going to be in serious trouble,
Knock
guys.
this what off? Knock this demonetization off?
Yes.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, and what did that generate for us? We've got for the first time in 20 years.
Halftime heat.
Halftime heat. At the halftime, you can either watch Maroon 5 do the halftime show, or you can watch 6 NXT superstars beat the ever-living piss out of each other.
Piss.
Yeah.
I like saying that word.
Oh.
Piss.
Okay. That just took an awkward turn. I almost feel like we should move on from this now. But, yes, the 6 men involved, which are both members of DIY, Gargano and Ciampa, as well as Adam Cole, baby, will be taking on Aleister Black, Velveteen Dream, and Ricochet.
Yep.
In a 6-man tag match.
Which I was hoping would be the main event for the show I'm going to in now less than a week.
It's a non-taped house show. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it again.
True. But now I'm kind of hoping instead I get to see some other matches, as I've mentioned to you before.
Yeah. So, that's it for NXT TakeOver. Overall thoughts?
I thought it was a very good show, and I am very happy with how it ended.
Yep. Great. I can't complain. NXT does it once again with another excellent takeover.
Ooh, one last thought, actually, that I just remembered. I am very upset that now that I finally got the Johnny Gargano shirt and was wearing it while watching the show, that literally at the very end of the show, he shows that he's got another new shirt.
Yep, a new shirt.
I'm like,
yeah. Yep, that's what you get. That's what you get. That's the way the merch game works, man.
Yeah.
They gotta keep coming out with new stuff so you keep wanting to buy it.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the Royal Rumble, shall we?
Okay, well, I'm just going to quickly do this we did not predict this match, but there was a random match of the Raw Tag Team Champions, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable versus Razor and Scott Dawson. And I'm like, yeah, I get to see Scott Dawson wrestle, and yeah, I get to see Chad Gable wrestle, and yeah, I get to see Bobby Roode wrestle, and okay, I get to see Razor wrestle, but why? And then they lost, and there was no point to it, and I'm just like, give an actual tag team a non-title match to get them some exposure and actually make it somewhat interesting, but whatever.
FTR.
Forever the Revival, you're right.
Nope. I have no idea why this match was even on the card. I think that maybe they were like, well, we need to fill the air and we need to get the tag division on there somehow from Raw.
Yeah, but like I said, put an actual tag team in a match against the tag champions, not just half of 2 tag teams.
I mean, in their defense, it helps build up this 3-way rivalry between these 3 teams and gets them on there. It feels like a match that would have happened on Raw and not on a pre-show of a major pay-per-view.
But a side part there, it doesn't make sense to me to build up a 3-way rivalry when one of the people that would be involved in it is injured, which is why they did this.
I don't know. Well, how long is he injured for? Like, how serious is the injury? Was it something where he'll be right back?
I think it's like 2 or 3 months.
I don't know. Well, we'll see.
But yeah, we'll see.
Anyway, the next match was the U.S. title match, and, well, I didn't see this coming.
Yeah, neither did I.
Shinsuke Knox actually beat Rusev with a Kinshasa to the back of the head while he was distracted after Rusev accidentally knocked Lana off the ring. After Lana stood there for 30 seconds just repeatedly saying over and over again, "He's cheating! He's cheating! You're cheating! It's cheating! Cheating, cheating, cheating! Cheating!"
Yes. And then someone who is supposed to now be a professional wrestler got their ankle injured by falling off the apron once.
Honestly, though, like, to be fair, like, you could sprain your ankle any which way, so whatever.
Not true, but I don't know. It's just something that irks me a little bit. Where it's like, oh, this person's now a professional wrestler, and then they get one thing and they're injured.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Lana. She sprained her ankle, and she's never really been established, at least not yet, or built as a like serious threat as far as a wrestler goes. She's still seen kind of even in the women's division as a beginner. Like, even though she challenged Naomi like a year or so ago, they showed that once they got in the ring that Lana was incredibly outmatched.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's really that bad. I'm just shocked that they took the title off Rusev so quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe this is designed to try and get heat on Shinsuke and like build sympathy for Rusev by having that happen so quickly.
Are also thinking, especially with how SmackDown went, that they might try to turn them into a tag team. In which my response to that is, if that's
Knox
what you're looking
and
to
Rusev? How?
Well, did you hear what happened with the U.S. title on SmackDown?
Oh, yeah. I totally forgot that happened on Tuesday. We will talk about that in our weekly recap.
So people think that they might try to make them into a tag team, in which my best response is, I'm not a big fan, but at the same time, it worked out really well for Sheamus and Cesaro, so I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, I mean, I'll They're two guys
I'll give
that are
them a
really
chance.
good. I really like both of them. It'll be interesting to see them together. I'm just like, okay, so how, why, where, when? Like, how does this work?
Yeah.
Show me how this works.
But
The match
moving on.
itself was short and quick. It was all right.
Yeah.
Then we had the Cruiserweight Championship match, which I didn't get to catch.
Oh, it was very good.
Buddy Murphy retained against Kalisto, Akira Tozawa, and Hideo Itami in a fatal 4-way match.
That match was insane.
I didn't catch it, but you can give your thoughts.
My favorite part is when Buddy Murphy had Kalisto up on his shoulders, ready to do a power bomb, and Hideo Itami was kind of like on the ropes, like sitting on the top rope with his legs open, and Akira Tozawa did a suicide dive between the top and middle ropes and between Hideo Itami's legs to hit Kalisto, knocking him over, and while he got knocked over, also flipped it into a Hurricane Rana on Buddy Murphy into the barricade. So it was a very...
Damn.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff like that going on in this match, and it was really good.
Yeah. Cinnabon, by the way. Yes. Thank you for the follow. We appreciate it, my friend. And welcome to the stream. Anything else you wanted to say about the Cruiserweight Championship match outside of the fact that it was really, really good and that your boy Buddy Murphy retained?
Well, I was going to say, I'm glad that Buddy Murphy, who deserves to continue to hold on to this title, won. And that all these guys showed that they deserve to be in this kind of spotlight for a title match, and that I wish it was on the main card.
Although, as we'll get to later, unfortunately, one of them will not be.
Yeah.
Let's get to the main show, and we let off with Asuka versus Becky Lynch. And the second we knew this match was starting, I'm like, oh, Becky's winning the Rumble. I was like, Becky is winning the Rumble because they are putting her on first, so she has the most amount of time to relax between matches.
Yeah. And the only reason I didn't think that she would win the Rumble is because of the fact that they did this, and then they did the Rumble match in the middle of the show, and I thought they were going to do the Women's Rumble at the end. Now I was like, well, if they're not doing that at the end, I don't know if they'll do it, but whatever.
But they still pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
But this was a good match. However, shockingly, Becky lost clean, which nobody thought was going to happen.
I didn't think it was going to happen, but I also have to say that it was against Asuka, so I'm not surprised it happened. Because if there's anyone that could beat Becky Lynch clean, it would probably be Asuka.
Becky apparently was not ready for Asuka.
No.
And to build on that, this helps build Asuka big time and shows that they are determined to rebuild Asuka as a strong person in the women's division because she beat the man, and she also pulled off a ridiculous bridge on the Asuka lock, which looked gross.
Yep.
Which makes Asuka look strong and also protects Becky because it's a version of the Asuka lock nobody's had to face before.
Exactly.
And that also evolves the Asuka lock into a new and even more devastating finisher.
Yes.
Because now well, crap, Becky Lynch tapped out to this. So the moment she floats over, you got to think, the match is over. Whoever she's getting
similar to
it's done.
How they did it with Charlotte with the figure 8.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was really good match.
Yeah.
And then we go from really good match to what the hell, Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
Shane McMahon and The Miz versus The Bar for the SmackDown Tag Titles, which, Shane and The Miz won, and it's upsetting to see The Bar go down like that, but I mean, it helps build the storyline. And holy hell, Shane McMahon, a 49-year-old man, just pulled off a shooting star press.
Yep.
I went nuts.
I thought that was cool, but not gonna lie, my entire thought throughout this match as it went on was like, this is good, but this is also not as good as the Cruiserweight title match. And I kept being like,
why you gotta compare it to the Cruiserweight title match?
Because of the fact that I feel like with how this match was compared to the Cruiserweight title match, that one deserved to be on the main show, but that the other one obviously isn't going to be put on the kickoff because it's got Shane McMahon, but whatever. I thought it was a good match. It was just, I feel like it was the weakest match on the main card. Not a bad match, just the weakest of all the other ones because all the other matches were really good.
There's one other match that I would say was probably weak as far as how it went. But
Okay.
I think this match was okay. And, I kind of thought the stuff with the Mrs. Dad at the end was funny. And again, that the match was okay, and then it had that moment, which was one of the top moments I think of the entire show. So
Yeah.
I think it was entertaining. After that, we got the other Raw Women's title match.
And not surprisingly, Ronda Rousey defeated Sasha Banks to retain her title.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was a pretty good match.
Yeah, it was really good.
I was slightly concerned that we might have another wardrobe malfunction when Sasha took the thing off her arm, which it was for selling, but I had a slight concern.
Another match with limb targeting, and this was some really good limb targeting, and Sasha sold her ass off on that arm.
And I liked how after the match, they shake hands, and then Sasha just right in Ronda's face.
I love that, which I think that's more of a one of us from the Four Horsewomen. We're the real Four Horsewomen. One of us is going to get you.
Yeah.
Than a Four Horsewomen versus Four Horsewomen match. One other thing I want to mention is that we almost watched Sasha Banks die.
Yep.
In that finish.
I feel like that happens like every third Sasha Banks match. Not
so much.
Not her fault or anything. I just feel like that just happens to happen, and that happens to be her luck.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure I need to watch it over again, but I'm pretty sure the back of her head right up here when Ronda delivered the finisher hit the mat.
Yeah.
Like she came very close to almost getting spiked the wrong way onto the canvas. Yeah. And like that scared me for a bit.
Yeah.
But luckily, thank God she's all right.
Yes.
It was good. Entertaining match. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree.
Shall we move on to the next one?
Yes, the 30-woman Royal Rumble match, which I thought was very good.
I enjoyed it. I heard a lot of people were criticizing the first half, specifically the stuff involving Zelina Vega under the ring.
I mean, I don't see why. It was entertaining.
The Hornswoggle stuff.
Whatever.
I think
money.
a lot of people were like, well, what's the motivation as to why Hornswoggle is chasing her around?
Because they needed some reason to get her out from under the ring, and you can't have Titus O'Neil show up in the Women's Royal Rumble match.
I will agree that it's fair criticism of the Zelina Vega thing, even though I did pop initially for Hornswoggle. And I thought it was funny to have him chase her off. And also, props to Zelina Vega on her entrance attire.
Yes.
She had the Vega mask and Vega claw.
I just noticed that, yeah.
I didn't mind this match as much. I think like when you're trying to compare it to the first Women's Royal Rumble match, it's tough to do.
Yeah.
That was just
the first
amazing.
And they had a bunch of well-known veteran wrestlers in it and everything, and you didn't have as much this time.
But the good thing about this match is that they got to show off all the young talent. It also shows how much the women's division has grown, especially in the last year.
There's one thing that upset me about this match.
What was that?
The fact that Lacey Evans was in it for as long as she was.
Lacey Evans was definitely a downer. I think she crumbled a bit under the pressure or the weight of what she was in. Apparently, I couldn't remember everything she said in her promo, but that seemed good. I didn't like the whole standoff with Charlotte, and she was a little sloppy, it appeared.
Yeah, she's too green.
Also, by the way, props to Liv Morgan for not selling the missed shots on her while she was on the apron.
Yeah.
And
that's another thing that I was upset about, and I kept looking at as the match went on, another person would come out, and I'd look and be like, why is Lacey Evans still in this match, but Liv Morgan was eliminated right away?
Other highlights of this match, Rhea Ripley did really well.
Yes.
She had some nice moments to shine in there. I don't remember what her last name is, but Casey, who is
Costanzo or something.
Who is one of the developmental talents. She's apparently working for them in NXT. She was an American Engineer Warrior winner. She had an impressive elimination avoidance.
Yes,
which was pretty damn awesome. Using that core strength to pull herself up the turnbuckle.
And they tried doing that with Naomi too.
Yep.
Where she put her feet on the barricade,
which was impressive. And then I liked the story of Mandy Rose just being like, screw you, and pulled her off.
Nope.
Yeah. And that was all good. Of course, Charlotte came out. She was starting to wreck house. It was looking like she was going to be the favorite. And then Lana was supposed to be entry number 28.
Yeah, I felt like that
a little bit.
Took way too long.
I was okay with it. They're building up the anticipation, letting everybody in the arena realize, oh, she's hurt. Oh, Becky might be coming out. Giving everybody that chance to get amp and hype and build up the tension for when Becky actually walked out.
I felt like it was building, and then after a little while, it started to go back down. But it was still good overall. Got Becky in the match and got her to win and all that, so I can't complain too much.
Yeah, and that crowd popped hard for that match. Yep. It was for that moment, and also great booking at the end with Becky.
Yes,
where she eliminated Nia Jax, and then Nia made it seem like she legitimately hurt Becky.
Yeah.
And her knee. And then Charlotte went just hardcore, great, amazing, vicious heel, just trying to take advantage.
Yes.
And then Becky
pulling out the win.
Pulling out the win out of nowhere and being
Yeah.
able to survive and win. And that was a huge pop as well.
Yes, I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm. The next match was a bit of a downer, which it's hard to follow the Women's Royal Rumble match after Becky Lynch wins. That was the WWE Championship match of the new Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles.
I thought it was a very good match.
It was good for
really
what
like
it was,
that.
but it wasn't.
I didn't like the ending, but
I liked that's the ironic thing. I thought the match was kind of slow and plodding and not like the best match that Bryan and AJ Styles could have, even though it was good. And I actually loved the ending. I absolutely
Erick
loved
Rowan?
it. Oh, yeah, I loved it. I loved the idea of Daniel Bryan having a heavy and Erick Rowan and potentially maybe forming this kind of eco-warrior stable if Harper shows back up. Or even being basically like the Wyatt family, but Daniel Bryan's a leader and they're eco-warriors instead of like spooky cult people.
Well, I think the thing that bothers me about it is the fact that Erick Rowan is the one who got injured and put their tag team on the shelf, and Erick Rowan is the one who gets that spot and not Luke Harper.
Well, maybe they have something better planned for Luke Harper. Or maybe Luke Harper is going to show up and get his own moment to shine. You shouldn't be judging that moment just on the fact that it's Rowan and not Harper. It's not like Rowan intentionally got himself hurt just so he could screw over Luke Harper.
I know, but I've just never been a huge fan of Erick
Well, that's
Rowan.
the thing. Like, it's hard to find a place where Erick Rowan fits and where like he works as a character just because of like his limitations. Because Rowan seems to be limited in his pro mobility and everything. But putting him in this position with Daniel Bryan,
it could work. Yeah,
it fits his character perfectly, and that's why I enjoy it so much. I think it's a great fit for his character. It's a great new evolution in the character of the new Daniel Bryan, and I'm excited to see where it's gonna go.
Okay.
Next match, Lesnar versus Baszler. This might be my favorite match of the whole show.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, other than the cruiserweight title match, I'm gonna have to agree with you. Yeah,
I think they made Baszler look so strong in this match. He came out guns blazing, just going right after Brock Lesnar, and Lesnar was shook.
And he sold his ass off.
Yeah, he did. And I love that Baszler shoved Lesnar's gut into the side of the table
twice.
Yeah,
and they zoomed in on it to show that it was a metal point.
And I loved that Lesnar sold like crazy, and they basically built into the fact that you need core strength in order to do all these lifting moves, like these German suplexes, these F5s, that Brock Lesnar's also dealt with diverticulitis.
Yes, and on top of that, that's what Balor's finisher targets anyway.
Yeah. So that was great psychology. I loved it. I love that Balor was coming from out of nowhere. That even when Lesnar got the upper hand, that he was hurt, that he couldn't actually pull off the suplexes, gave Balor an opening, and I love the finish.
Yeah,
because Balor hits the coup de grace only once, looks like he might get it, and then before he could even really pin Lesnar just out of sheer instinct and desperation locks Balor into the Kimura lock
and has a great expression on his face.
Another memeable meme for the ages Lesnar face.
Yep.
And then Balor, because he's caught, nowhere to go, not close to the ropes, and Lesnar might break his arm, has no choice but to tap out.
Yeah.
And this also makes you believe if regular Finn Balor came this close, what about Demon Balor?
Yeah.
And honestly, it makes me think. I know right now after what happened, if we look ahead to Raw, he's now involved in a thing with Bobby Lashley, but that might only keep him occupied until Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
What if after Elimination Chamber, Balor, because he came so close to beating Lesnar, and Lesnar beat the hell out of him afterwards because he was pissed off that Balor came so close to beating him. What if Balor comes out and is like, I want another shot?
Yeah.
Want another shot at the title?
You never know.
And we get Rollins versus Brock versus Demon Balor. And what if Balor actually wins? Because Balor came so close to beating Lesnar, and then Lesnar beat him up, and he still has technically beef with Rollins because they had that match, the title, and Rollins injured Balor. So there's storyline there.
Yeah.
So you liked it?
Yeah, thought it was good.
Okay. Final match. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, a little bit, I guess.
Sure. Go ahead, tell me.
30-man Royal Rumble match. I thought it started in an interesting way.
Yeah.
And with Jeff Jarrett coming out and getting hit with a guitar and all that. But yeah, I thought the match was good overall. I loved seeing people like Johnny Gargano and Pete Dunne get their time to shine. I think one of my favorite moments was when Drew McIntyre went to eliminate Pete Dunne, and Pete Dunne just grabbed the index finger and just started bending back, and Drew McIntyre just started going like this because they've been building up Drew McIntyre like crazy, and that goes to show it doesn't matter how big and strong and dominant you are. You give Pete Dunne one chance, and he can get himself out of trouble.
It gives Pete Dunne a bit of a rub. I also liked when Aleister Black was in there. He had a strong showing.
Aleister Black too. He was really good.
Pete Dunne did the move, and Aleister Black sold like it was popped out of the socket. And popped back in.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was great. Yeah, I enjoyed this match. I thought it was good. I thought it was entertaining. The Kofi elimination avoidances were okay. Definitely not his best, but they were entertaining. I was shocked that the New Day wasn't in there as long as they could have been, though.
I just want to point out one thing, which is what is wrong with the people that do betting odds on the Royal Rumble.
Why?
Because before the Royal Rumble happened that day, I was bored, and I was like, let me look up the betting odds for people to win the Royal Rumble match and explain to me how Kenny Omega, who is still under contract with New Japan, had a better chance of winning the Royal Rumble when he doesn't even work for the company than Xavier Woods, who works for the company and was going to be in the match. I saw that and I was like, Woods will be so pissed if he finds out about this.
Omega would be in legal trouble if he showed up at the Rumble.
Exactly.
Like, he legally cannot show up. But
I think Rob Gronkowski had the same rating of a chance to win as Xavier Woods, who also doesn't work for the company.
Anyway, yeah, Rollins came out. Rollins win. Came down to Rollins and Strowman.
And curb stomp on the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring.
I like that. Yes, I like that. He just like hit him with like two or three different things, like shoved him in the ring post, gave him a super kick, and then delivered the curb stomp.
It was very good.
Any other moments that you want to bring up? Like Ziggles shockingly eliminating Drew?
I wasn't shocked by it, but I was happy with it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else that might have been memorable from this match, but I just remember it being very good. Rollins winning.
One thing I didn't like is the fact that Pete Dunne tried at least 3 times and not once got to hit the bitter end.
Oh, yeah. Andrade also.
Yeah,
he was one of the last guys in there. He had a very nice, strong performance as well.
Especially when working with Rey Mysterio.
Which, I mean, if you've been watching SmackDown recently, that's no surprise at all whatsoever.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, Seth won. Everybody goes home happy. Really good Royal Rumble event as a whole, I think.
I agree.
Any final closing thoughts?
The champ is here.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, you won because I decided to be a contrarian. Never again will I pick so wildly against you just to be a contrarian because that did not work for me at all.
Okay, I'm fine with you tying me. I mean, if I win regardless.
We're going to have a couple things different every single time, or if I absolutely have to pick 1 or 2 things differently. But I would pretty much took like 5 or there were 6 matches where I decided to pick against you, and like I ended up losing to you by 4.
Yep.
As a result, so never again.
Thank you, TakeOver.
Speaking of the predictions result, by the way, we want to give a shout out to Big Stupid, who actually tied you. You did not have the most accurate predictions out of anybody. You both tied. Then we went to the Worlds Collide tournament as a tiebreaker. You picked Travis Banks. I can't remember who Big Stupid picked, but the person he was thinking of picking, they didn't ultimately go with Velveteen Dream, who actually won the tournament.
Yep.
So you guys stayed tied at 12. I also want to give a shout out to Mets fan for getting 10 predictions right, which beat me because I had a lowly 8. I also want to give a shout out. We did a Royal Rumble pool in my watch party last week. We drew random numbers and we got to root for people. Laser Scope had the number 428, which ended up being Becky Lynch, which won the Women's Rumble. And Big Stupid had Seth Rollins, which I believe he came out at number 13.
Yeah, I think so.
Number 13 in the men's Rumble pool. I don't know if that number is correct. I just know that Big Stupid had Seth Rollins. So congrats to you guys for winning those pools.
Yep.
All right. So that's all for that. Let's quickly go over the weekly recap from TV. Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins officially picked who they will go up against at WrestleMania. Becky Lynch came out in an amazing promo, by the way, on Raw, challenging Ronda Rousey, and she was kind of like, "You always knew, Ronnie, that I'd come back."
Yep, it was very good.
And then Seth Rollins ultimately decided to go up against Brock Lesnar thanks to some egging on from Paul Heyman.
Yep. Which I am excited to see that happen.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was R-Truth beating Nakamura.
Shocking.
For the U.S. title. And then
the man who got beat up by Nia Jax, which actually that's something we completely forgot about in the Royal Rumble. Props to Nia Jax for it was shocking going in there, but actually like for WWE for taking that risk, and the fact that they made her look strong because it took us an RKO, a 619, and a super kick to get her dumped out.
And I'm also gonna point out that apparently this is something I forgot to mention before. WWE did that and also did her hitting and attacking Dean Ambrose on Monday Night Raw because they're apparently starting to make a move to go towards possibly doing intergender matches.
It seems like they're testing out intergender.
Which I am all for.
That's fine with me. I mean, wrestling is wrestling.
I would not mind seeing Becky Lynch versus Seth Rollins for the title of the man and seeing Becky Lynch tap out Seth Rollins.
That'd be hilarious. I also want to say props to Mustafa Ali. He was in there for a long time. I think he might have been the Iron Man of the Rumble. But
he may
was
have
there
been
for a long time. He had a really strong showing too.
Yeah, but R-Truth beat Nakamura for the U.S. title and then defended it against Rusev and beat Rusev for the title.
Can't believe that in 2019 that R-Truth is the U.S. champion. Like, props to him. As long as it makes it work.
He didn't get his number 30 spot in the Royal Rumble, so I guess it's a way of making up to him.
Yeah. And then we also had qualifiers for the women tag team title elimination chamber match at Elimination Chamber. And the Riot Squad, which was represented by Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan, Nia Jax, Tamina, and Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville all qualified this week for that match.
Very nice.
And then the final thing that happened this week that was big, that I think is probably my favorite thing.
I think a lot of people
shows
say that.
How goddamn much I am loving this new Daniel Bryan, this heel Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan came out in a promo. An amazing promo, just trashing the materials used in the current WWE Championship. So he came out with a new eco-friendly championship made from wood, mineral stones, and hemp.
Yeah, which is very nice. A lot of people are requesting they put it on the shop.
I actually love that design.
Yeah,
even though it's not like a traditional championship, I love it. And the WWE, they should totally put that on the shop.
Yeah, I agree.
I would totally love to buy one, depending on how much it is. So those were all the big things that happened in WWE TV this week. Shall we get into the wrestling news? Because there were two big stories.
Yes. With time, though, I think we should try and do it a little faster.
Yeah, well, if you need to leave, I will continue the show solo. Okay. I will go through it solo. But I feel like these next two stories we definitely need to not just breeze through.
Okay.
And then maybe everything else we can breeze through. Because we didn't even get to gaming, so I'm gonna have to do gaming by myself. Yeah. He's on a tight time constraint, so DMurph's probably gonna take off a little bit. But wrestling news. Dean Ambrose has reportedly informed WWE that he will not renew his contract after WrestleMania, and WWE offered a statement confirming as much right afterwards. The statement from WWE says, Dean Ambrose, aka Jonathan Good, will not be renewing his contract with WWE when it expires in April. We are grateful and appreciative of all that Dean has given to WWE and our fans. We wish him well and hope that one day Dean will return to WWE.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are saying that it's because he's been having to do these different kind of character things instead of just kind of doing his own thing. And my favorite thing about it is Joey Ryan tweeting, if he doesn't like doing hokey stuff, I can't wait for the first indie promoter to book him versus me.
Yeah. Well, who knows if he, WWE never says this about people well in advance. And it ties into what Ambrose was complaining about and doing on the show that day.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as it would make sense, I kind of feel like it's a work.
I feel like it might be that, but it also could very well be a matter of WWE wanting to give him what he deserves of a proper goodbye, but also do it well enough in advance that way he has time to cool off before possibly jumping ship.
Do we actually know whether or not his contract expires after WrestleMania for a fact?
Apparently.
And do you honestly think WWE would let somebody like Dean Ambrose go when he will go right into the arms of AEW?
Well, there's not much you could do about letting them go if they refuse to negotiate.
Yeah, but what if they do you honestly think they wouldn't try to work with him to find a contract that he likes, or maybe some sort of terms or a storyline that he can agree upon or something? I don't know.
Well,
all I'm saying is I'm not 100% sold that this is actually a shoot. I think that that there's a chance that this is all tying into a WrestleMania storyline for Dean Ambrose.
I mean, the only thing I have to say about it is if it is a real life thing, it's a matter of if he's that unhappy, then I mean,
He needs to go to where he's happy then.
especially
I'm happy
with
for him getting out of there.
But I'm saying, like, if you look at it, if he's really that unhappy and he knows there's a group like AEW around and then there's also other opportunities he could go and do, it's not really that big of a thing for him to be like, listen, I'm not enjoying it here. I've made plenty of money. I've saved it up because apparently he has. He's apparently very frugal. So I'm done. Like, they could try negotiating as much as they want. I don't think they'd be able to give him everything that he want, or be willing to give him everything that he would want to secure himself there.
Well, I'm not just talking about money.
No, I know. But I'm saying, like, for example, with CM Punk, they bought the rights to Cult of Personality, used it as his theme song, and did all this stuff to get him to stay. I know they really like Dean, he's a big part, but I don't know if they'd be willing to go that far, and I don't know what he would want. It would probably be something like, well, I want to have my regular personality, and I want to win the Universal title, and they'd be like, no, and you'd be like, well, then I'm leaving. I could see that as being a possibility.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm just saying...
You're not convinced, though.
It's too convenient.
Yeah.
The timing and how they phrased it, it's too convenient. So I'm interested. They've definitely got me interested, and I'll be invested in whatever the storyline is that they'll have for him into WrestleMania. But like, I'm just normally WWE, even with their biggest stars, do not let people know of this until it actually happens.
And like I said, it's also, I think it could just be more of a strategy thing of giving him what he's due, and also kind of what they did with Neville, giving him time to cool before jumping ship.
But here's the thing. They never publicly made a statement about Neville and that he was going to be leaving after his contract. They just took him off TV and ignored his existence. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to say here, is that, like, WWE, they either ignore the person, so that way they can try and hope that that he doesn't have as much relevance when he signs somewhere else, or they'll wish him the best and send out their official statement when the contract has actually ended, when they've officially left, or when they've officially been let go.
The reason I'm saying this, though, is because big difference between Dean Ambrose and Neville. Dean Ambrose was not only a former WWE champion, but also a former longest reigning United States champion. He's got a lot more accomplishments in WWE.
Yes, but if it's on as bad terms as you think, like, they haven't done this with anybody of that high caliber in the past.
Well, I don't think it's also as on bad terms.
Well, I don't know. All I'm saying is that, like, even with when Chris Jericho left, when Chris Jericho wanted to take a break in 2004, they didn't say, "Oh, Chris Jericho isn't going to renew his contract." They did a firing angle with John Cena, and he lost a match and got fired and got taken out by security.
But that's how he wanted it.
Well, no. This is what I am saying, is that this isn't the way that WWE normally does things. That's my point. So I'm just saying, take this news with a grain of salt. I'm not saying there isn't any validity. I'm just saying take this news with a grain of salt.
Well, what I'm saying is I agree with you on that, and I'm just pointing out why I think it could be true. Not saying that is, but could be, and you saying that it's not.
No, I'm trying to move us on, because now we've hit our deadline. I wanted to get to this next story before.
Well, we could still move on.
I want to get to
quickly.
this next story before you have to go.
Okay.
So I was just all right. We just had this spirited debate about whether or not it's actually happening that Dean Ambrose is going to leave. There is no question about this other person who's officially cut ties to WWE, and that is Hideo Itami.
Yep.
Right after the latest episode of 205 Live and after the Cruiserweight championship match, which people thought he might win, but he didn't. And maybe that was the final straw. Maybe they weren't sure if they were going to give him the championship. Maybe when they decided they weren't going to give it to him, he was like, well, I'm going to ask for my release after 205 Live.
Or it could even be that, they gave him a push going into that match as like a final thing.
If they were going to give him a push, they should have let him win the championship.
Well, no, what I mean is him saying that he wants to leave, and they're like, okay, we'll let you leave, but could you do this, and we'll give you a big spotlight in the match. You don't give
somebody a push on when they're on their way out, especially somebody who you haven't given any pushes to on 205 Live. But anyway, I want to take the article excerpt from Bryan of the report of Hideo Itami having been granted his release after requesting it from WWE. The article excerpt from Bryan Rose at Figure 4 Online, Wrestling Observer newsletter, says, both Fightful and PW Insider reported that reported tonight, this was Tuesday night, that Hideo Itami asked for and was granted a release from WWE this week following tonight's SmackDown tapings in Phoenix, Arizona. Fightful reported that the talk backstage was that Itami was unhappy with his creative direction. He will be under a 90-day no-compete clause. Itami was featured in the main event of tonight's episode of 205 Live, where he lost to Akira Tozawa, Arya Daivari, who he has been associated with on television, then turned on him, laying him out with a clothesline. After the tapings, he posted on Twitter, "Thank you," in all caps. He has recently changed his name back from Hideo Itami to Kenta.
Yeah.
So it seems like he wasn't happy with what was going on with him, and he needed to go.
Yeah.
I think WWE was might have been okay with this because of the no compete, and B, the potential that maybe they struck a deal where it's like, okay, we'll grant you a release if you only go back to Japan, to like Pro Wrestling Noah.
I don't know if they could really enforce
Kenta,
that.
Before he was with WWE, and even when he was with WWE, before he suffered all those injuries, he was one of the hottest commodities in wrestling.
Yeah.
You got to imagine that AEW and probably maybe even New Japan are like licking their chops wanting to try and sign him.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I'll also point out, though, is the thing that I agree with online of if people are going to try and say that WWE derailed Hideo, it was not WWE, it was his injuries, and it's an unfortunate thing.
Well, I think it just wasn't fair. It was definitely unfortunate that, like, Hideo's momentum was definitely killed by his injuries.
Yeah.
But I think it's also partly on WWE to build him up after he came back.
Yeah.
And they were building him up well when he had that match with, I believe, was it Bobby Roode he had the rivalry with? It wasn't Drew, right? It was Bobby Roode.
I think it was Bobby Roode, yeah.
And, like, that went pretty well. And then they did nothing with him, and then they put him on 205 Live, and he was just another guy on 205 Live.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like it's also similar, like, from the way this seems to have shaken out, I feel like it's similar to, but not as explosive as what had happened with Neville, where Neville was the main picture. He was in the main event and all that. He was all over. And then Enzo came in, and then the focus was still kind of on Neville, and then it was abruptly going to be, all right, well, you're going to lose in a lumberjack match to Enzo Amore.
I understand where you're getting at.
But, like, it seems like the kind of thing of, like, well, he was, like, not as big of a thing, but, you know, Hideo's getting pushed to the front. He's a big name. And then he comes to 205 Live and finds out, all right, well, you're now going to lose to Arya Daivari. And we're going to kind of put you more on the back burner. You're not going to be as much of the focus anymore. And instead of with Neville, where he kind of seemed to explode more about it, he was just like, all right, well, I'm not happy with this. I'd like to be released. And WWE came to an agreement with that. Mm-hmm. That's how it seems from how the event seemed to have played out.
Well, I think maybe it also helped the WWE if he agreed that he was only going to go to Japan. And and the fact that he wasn't as hot of a commodity because they never recaptured his momentum after his injuries, I think they were more more open to releasing him.
I think it may also have to be with, strategy for them because, I mean, with AEW coming up, they're also trying to sign a bunch of people. Like, I don't know if you've heard, but apparently Evan Bourne, Matt Sydal, has received offers from both WWE and AEW. So I think WWE's trying to be a little bit strategic about this where it's like, we hate to lose Hideo, but he's not happy here. We don't really have any big plans for him. It's not as useful to us. But if we could use the money we were spending to employ him on, say, a Matt Sydal or something like that, that would be another way to possibly generate something and bring new life into 205 Live and make them more popular. So it could also be like a strategic thing of if he's unhappy and we don't really have plans for him, I mean, we might as well, since he has a 90-day no-compete clause anyway, that gives him 3 months to try and...
It could be, but at that point, that's just speculation.
Well, I know, but I'm saying that's my speculation of it, of that could be a reason why. I don't think that is, but that's one thing that could be.
Yeah, let's move on, because we've been talking about this for a while. If you want to get out of here, I will release you, but we've still got some wrestling stuff to do, and I've got gaming stuff to do. Well, podcast. We got more stuffs to cover. If you want to get out of here, you've done the review. I release you.
I have to go and deal with my kids and stuff.
Yeah, no. Go downstairs and collect your big check for only showing up for half an episode.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
and then I'll go back to, like I said, potentially working for God knows how long, 7 days a week. So, yeah, fun stuff.
No sympathy. All right, guys. DMurph is going to get out of here for this episode. And he just totally fell on the show notes and just ruined everything. Get out of here. Get going. Don't come back. I'm doing this solo from now on. I only need myself.
Checks look the same either way.
Whatever. I'll see you later. All right, guys. So I'm gonna take over and finish this show solo here. We're gonna get into some more wrestling news. The next wrestling news is that aside from Hideo Itami and Dean Ambrose getting released, come on, what did I do to this? Okay. So the next story. I'm just gonna keep rolling. I'm not gonna be able to read chat if anybody gets into the chat, unfortunately, because something happened. Ember Moon has been injured. So this is coming from WWE directly themselves. Ember Moon during the Women's Royal Rumble suffered an elbow injury and had to go undergo surgery immediately. The quote from Ember. There's a quote and tweet from Ember herself. This quote is coming from a WWE.com video, saying, sadly, I messed up my elbow really bad, and I have to have immediate surgery. And I don't know how long it is, but it is a while. I'm trying to stay as positive as I can in this situation, so hopefully here's to the best, and I'll see you guys soon. And the tweet from Ember said, at WWE, I lasted 53 minutes in the hashtag Royal Rumble with one arm. Imagine what I will do when I am back. I will miss you, WWE Universe. And then she had the signature for EM for Ember Moon, hashtag Myth Rises, hashtag Sheenam, hashtag Night Angel. So that's very unfortunate for Ember. Ember seemed like she was gaining some really big momentum of late. And this injury obviously stalls her, but I'm sure she'll be fine when she comes back. As you can tell from the amount of time she was in the Rumble, it was proof that they have faith in her to be a big thing in the women's division going forward. Also in the news is Jeff Jarrett. It turns out that he was back for not just a surprise Royal Rumble appearance, but he is going to be taking on a backstage role. He showed up on Raw, got beat up by Elias alongside the Road Dogg in a promo segment that seemed to turn Elias heel again. And there's a report from Josh Nason from Wrestling Observer Newsletter Figure 4 Online. The excerpt stating about Jeff Jarrett is, WWE Hall of Famer Jeff Jarrett is returning to the company in a producer role. The news was first reported today by One Wrestling and PW Insider, and was also confirmed Monday night by our Dave Meltzer. It's theirs. A day after returning to a WWE ring was as the second entrant in the Royal Rumble. Jarrett was was on Monday Night Raw, flanked by WWE SmackDown writer and producer Bryan Road Dogg James in a segment with Elias. PW Insider reported that Jarrett's role will also be an on-screen one, but Meltzer couldn't confirm that. Jarrett joins former TNA, Jack of All Trades, Sanjay Dutt, and Shane Helms as producers, the latter of which just rejoined WWE as reported by PW Insider early Monday. So Shane Helms and Jeff Jarrett both taking on backstage roles for WWE. It's very interesting to me. It's good to see that WWE and Jeff Jarrett have seemed to have finally patched things up. I'm sure Jarrett will do a good job in the back. As much as I feel like Jarrett kind of was a big part of stuff that went wrong with WCW and with TNA. A lot of people argue, he was there trying to fix it. He was the good thing, and there were a lot of other bad things that were making it worse. And I do believe, the Jarrett family line is a huge name in wrestling, is a huge lineage, and I'm sure Jarrett will bring some good stuff to WWE backstage, and I'm glad to see wounds get healed between Jarrett and the E. And it's also cool to see Shane Helms coming back as well as a producer. A couple other quick stories for us here. Super Bowl is this Sunday. Playing in it, competing in it, for the Patriots is Rob Gronkowski. Rob Gronkowski, no stranger to WWE. He is friends with WWE superstar Mojo Rawley, who actually showed back up on Raw this week in an interesting self-hating promo he did, talking to himself in a mirror. Gronkowski showed up to help Mojo win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal about 2 years ago, I believe, at WrestleMania. I believe it was 2 years ago. A lot of people aren't sure whether or not Gronkowski is going to retire after the Super Bowl, if the Super Bowl is going to be his last game. A lot of people think if the Patriots lose, he may try to play one more season, but it's doubtful. And if they win, he is definitely going to retire because he'll get to go out a champion. So with that said, people asked Triple H what they thought about Gronkowski, considering he has history with WWE, and we don't know if he does retire, what he will do afterwards, whether he will go to WWE or if he'll try to get into movies. So somebody asked Triple H, and Triple H had this quote coming from Justin Barrasso at Sports Illustrated. Gronk has mentioned WWE before, that he loves it and said had so much fun doing it. I don't know if it's something he'd be seriously interested in, but that's how the conversation started with Ronda Rousey too. Certainly the door is open for him at WWE. So I think that's just an interesting little story. Just wanted to mention that note. It ties into the Super Bowl, which is going on this week. I work in sports for a living. I thought it was interesting. And I think if WWE is able to get Rob Gronkowski similar to how they got Ronda Rousey, if he can adapt to it just like Ronda did, I think that'd be a huge get for the WWE. However, that said, Gronk has a long history of injuries. He had a long career as a football star. I don't know if he would want to get into the grueling business of WWE as a regular. Maybe we might see him doing more special occasion appearances, or more appearances on special occasions if he goes and gets training. Maybe he does like a program for WrestleMania with Mojo Rawley one of these years in the future or something like that. I don't know, but it's cool to see that the door is open from him on the WWE end. And then the last main story we want to talk about in wrestling is that AEW is doing a ticket party on February 7th at 9 p.m., which just happens to coincide with the end of the countdown clock on Kenny Omega's phone from the end of the latest episode of Being the Elite. And people believe that it may be tied to it. I will take this article excerpt from Joseph Courier from Wrestling Observer Newsletter Figure 4 Online, which will help maybe tie things together. It says, the ticket announcement party will take place at the Splash Pool at the MGM Grand Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific, on Thursday, February 7th. That's this upcoming Thursday. AEW is promoting that Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and Brandy Rhodes will, quote-unquote, reveal spectacular new signings, exciting new partnerships, ticket on sale information, and a surprise special guest at the party. Now, surprise special guest plus spectacular new signings, that sounds like, plus you put that together with the with Being the Elite, all points to Kenny Omega will be at the ticket event and will officially announce that he is signed with AEW. Whether or not it is a exclusive deal or a limited exclusivity deal with AEW and New Japan, much like Chris Jericho, we don't know. Also, they say exciting new partnerships will be announced, so maybe, just maybe, we will get the final announcement of what AEW's TV deal will be at this show. And I mean, what better way to help move tickets than to have Kenny Omega show up as a signee, maybe announce the match he's going to be in, and then, announce the TV deal. And, it's a perfect stage for Omega to show up because it's at the MGM where Double or Nothing is taking place. So, very interesting stuff from AEW. And with that, we are going to move into our wrestling quick hits where we just mention some sources as well as headlines that we think that you guys might want to check out. So, some other stories that we want to bring up. Paul Heyman is reportedly negotiating a deal for Brock Lesnar between WWE, AEW, and the UFC. That's via Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Another one, if you want to check it out on Twitter, Jack Stars, who is Walter's first opponent in NXT UK, posted a photo, and there's also a video on WWE.com about Walter's whole entire hand, massive-ass hand and arm and forearm across his chest from the first slap that Walter hit in NXT UK. It's pretty ridiculous. You should go check it out. That's on Jack Stars' Twitter. And also wanted to mention that Fighting With My Family, the Page biopic produced by Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or Rock the Dwayne Johnson, premiered and debuted at the Sundance Film Festival. It is released in theaters, and it actually is getting really good reviews. Rotten Tomatoes has it currently set at an 84% fresh rating. So if anybody was interested, on the fence, not sure about whether or not they wanted to check it out, it might be worth checking out. And of course, Rotten Tomatoes, the source for that information. And with that, we transition from wrestling to gaming. In gaming news, the top story is that Dragon Ball Z has got quite a few gaming stuff going on. Two stories, specifically. The big one is that in addition to the success of Dragon Ball FighterZ last year, Dragon Ball will be having a new game come out in 2019. Well, I believe it is supposed to be 2019, according to the announcement. It is a new Dragon Ball action RPG game currently titled Project Z. It got an announced trailer. The description from the trailer on YouTube says, determination, despair, and hope. Discover the story of the mysterious Dragon Balls in the all-new Dragon Ball game, Project Z. Now, it's supposed to, it seems like what it's going to be is that it's going to play off of key moments from the Dragon Ball storyline. We saw moments from the Frieza saga, for example, in the trailer. So we don't know if it's going to be a new story, if it's going to be a twist on the current story, or if it's going to be, that thing that a lot of Dragon Ball games do and just retell the story, which, if that is the case, that is kind of a little upsetting. But, the trailer, the animation that they use looks pretty similar to what they did for Dragon Ball FighterZ for their cutscenes. So it looked pretty cool, and it's very interesting. I'm interested in taking a look at it going forward. But that wasn't the only Dragon Ball video game related news that we got this week. No, we got the season 2 DLC characters. We got the announcement of 4 of the 6 for season 2 by Dragon Ball fighters this week in a new trailer. And those fighters were Jiren, the big bad of Dragon Ball Super's Tournament of Power arc, Videl, the girlfriend and then wife of Gohan, who is also the son of Mr. Satan, aka Hercule, a pretty badass martial artist in her own right, as well as 2 characters from the new Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, which is Broly from that movie, Canon Broly, and Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta from that movie. Jiren and Videl are available now. I believe they went live on the 31st, which was Thursday. And Gogeta and Broly are announced as coming soon. No other details. The only other information is just the trailer description, which says 4 mighty warriors have been revealed. Grab a senzu bean and watch this all-new trailer for Season 2 of Dragon Ball. #Dragon Ball Fighters. Blah. And now, unfortunately, we don't have DMurph to do the little jingle. It is time for some Overwatch news. Overwatch has announced a new assault map for the game titled Paris. Take a wild guess where it takes place in. That is right. If you guessed Belgrade, you are right. No, it is not Belgrade. It is Paris. I don't even know why I said Belgrade. It just popped into my head. I was just talking, and I'm like, crap, I need to come up with a name in order to land this joke. Belgrade. Boom. There it is. Was able to land it at the last second. That's thinking on your feet. That's quick thinking in a crisis. That's what we do here on Super Grab Bros. Anyway, I am all over the place right now. Let's get back to the story. We have a article excerpt from Michael McWhorter at Polygon that says about the announcement and about the map. In an official announcement, Blizzard highlighted the map's narrow streets and corridors and locations like the Seine River, Cabaret Luna, the Patisserie Garland, and Maison Marat, described as a grand palace hosting a gala in the heart of the city. So cool stuff. It has been added to the PTR, the public test region, so the test server. So if you have Overwatch on PC, you can get onto the PTR and try it out for yourself. And then 2 more stories we've got here in gaming. We have a Sony story where apparently PS5, work on the PS5 is happening sooner than you would think. And not just from the perspective of Sony, but from the perspective of the first-party developers. The headline says, Sony reportedly shifting first-party development focus to PS5. This information came from Game Industry Biz, and it's a quote from Daniel Ahmed, who is a Nico Partners analyst that Game Industry Biz cites as someone and an analyst who generally has solid insider information. And this is a quote from a post from him about Sony on Reset Era. And the quote says, Sony also, and this is not just about PS5, I will add a caveat before I get into this quote. He also mentions that apparently there are some unannounced titles that are being worked on for PS4 era stuff. So anyway, there's the context. Let's get into the quote. The quote says, Sony also has a couple of unannounced games, already existing IP, with PS4 in mind, but I'm conscious that there have been discussions around making them cross-gen / next-gen titles. In general, most of the focus for Sony for 1P, which is first party, is on PS5 right now. It's still early to talk about next gen, but I imagine we'll hear some whispers come out of GDC, which is coming up, I believe, in this month. Yes, we are in February. I was going to say February. Wasn't sure if we were in January or still or February. We are in February. February 2nd. Groundhog's Day. So very interesting to know that, next gen is coming closer than we thought. This could be why Sony isn't showing up at E3, because maybe their cross-gen content plus they maybe weren't going to have anything to show off for stuff on PS5 by E3. Maybe they would have just been able to announce the console, but maybe they want to do a full blowout, and that might be why they're not doing E3, and they might be holding out until maybe another PSX next fall. So definitely going to be interesting to see if anything comes out of GDC and what nuggets come out, because we're probably not going to hear anything unless a developer slips at E3 and mentions the PS5 and just next gen in general. We're not going to hear anything about the next console during E3. So very interesting to see that, if there is a PSX, if the first party developers are focusing on stuff, we might get some really cool announcements come this fall. And then the final story that I want to talk about is that Belgium forces EA to finally end FIFA points in the country, a result of the country's crackdown on loot boxes. So Belgium deemed loot boxes as gambling and therefore illegal. They demanded that developers and publishers, mainly publishers, take those out of the game. Pretty much everybody complied except for EA, who refused to move from it on FIFA until today. They finally took it out. And here's an interesting little statement from EA about the matter. The statement says, after further discussions with the Belgian authorities, we have decided to stop offering FIFA points for sale in Belgium. We're working to make these changes effective on our FIFA console and PC games by January 31st, 2019. That's this past Thursday. The quote continues. We seek to bring choice, fairness, value, and fun to our players in all of our games. In addition to providing players options in how they play, we include pack probabilities in our games for the transparency players want to make informed content choices. While we are taking this action, we do not agree with Belgian authorities' interpretations of the law, and we will continue to seek more clarity on the matter as we go forward. The impact of this change to FIFA Ultimate Team in Belgium is not material to our financial performance. So basically, EA almost backhanding Belgium there, saying it doesn't matter. Our profits don't matter too much about the microtransactions in Belgium, which is, I don't think, maybe in the grand scheme of things, kind of true, but that's kind of a backhanded way to say things. And also, that EA has decided to stop offering FIFA points. No, they were told by a government enforcing its law on them to stop. And also, I find it funny that EA says that, like, based on the way things have been going of late, that they seek to bring choice, fairness, value, and fun to their players after the debacles with them specifically, and complaints about their microtransaction system and how egregiously it was used in Star Wars Battlefront 2. And the last little thing I want to touch on here is also how they say, oh, but we showed people the odds for transparency. You know who else shows the odds and the chances of things for transparency's sake? Casinos at table games and also at certain slot machines. Just because you say what the odds are of you winning isn't going to stop people from putting money down and still rolling the dice. Like, I can't even believe that EA tried to use that as an agreement, because casinos literally put the odds on their tables for people to read. Like, that level transparency on that regard doesn't mean that you're not still giving people the option to spend money to gamble on the chance of getting something. It's the fact that you're giving people that chance and forcing them to pay real money for that. So, props to Belgium for cracking down and forcing EA to do this. I feel like there is a point here that people are making where you shouldn't spend in-game money for something that you have a random chance of getting. If you're going to do microtransactions, do it to where when you spend the money on that microtransaction, you know exactly what you're getting. The Fortnite model, for example. If you go on to the Fortnite shop, you know exactly what you're spending your money on. There's no random chance that you might not get it. If you're going to have people get things where it's a random chance of them getting them, have them use their in-game currency, not their actual hard-earned money. So that's... I just wanted to... I will step off my soapbox now. I just wanted to get on that for a little bit just for this this story on EA. And then finally, we're going to hit up some gaming quick hits here. And we've got Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is the fastest selling Nintendo game ever after moving 12.08 million units from its December 7th release to December 31st. The previous fastest selling game was New Super Mario Bros. Wii. That's courtesy of Game Industry Biz. Then, Fortnite players this weekend, right now you guys can do it, can jump into the NFL Rumble LTM limited time match this weekend with the LA Rams or Patriots jerseys. So you can go ahead and jump in and play as use skins for Patriots and Rams, another collaboration between Fortnite and the NFL, this time to promote both Fortnite, obviously, and to promote the Super Bowl that's happening on February 3rd, which is tomorrow if you're listening to this or watching this live on Twitch, and today if you are listening to it on YouTube on the day that it came out. That story is via VG247. Then, Marvel Spider-Man news. We talked about how there was something fantastic coming to Spider-Man, and I said that it was probably going to be the Bombastic Bagman suit. Well, I was half right. It was the Bombastic Bagman suit, as well as the Future Foundation suit, which is a more Spider-Man-esque suit that Peter Parker wore when he was fighting with the Fantastic Four in more recent comics. So, that was officially announced via Marvel Games on Twitter this week. Also, PlayStation Plus will be changing its cloud storage size from 10 gigabytes to 100 gigabytes, so you can store a lot more games and stuff like that. And also, if you are aware, this is the final months where games for this will be the last month with games for PS3 and PS Vita on PlayStation Plus. There will no longer, I guess, after this date, they will be supporting PS3 or PS Vita games, and that's coming via Polygon. Then, GameStop has given up on trying to sell the company. They tried to see if they could find a buyer. Seems like they couldn't find somebody where the deal would work, so they decided they were going to terminate their search, at least for now. But the stock market didn't really appreciate that unfortunate news, and as a result, shares dropped 25%, which woof. Things not looking good for GameStop. I don't want to see GameStop go out of business. I like the brick and mortar shops, even though I really only just buy digital nowadays. It's nice to know that you can go in there and talk to people like that, because I believe it was kind of funny. They were talking about it on one of their shows. Like, if you have to go buy physical stuff from games like consoles or whatnot, and you don't want to do it digitally, do you really want to go to Walmart or somewhere where like maybe the person isn't exactly super knowledgeable in video games? At least with GameStop, you know that you're there talking to gamers, people who have a good general idea on most video games, who you can carry a gaming conversation with. So hopefully GameStop can find a way to survive this and keep chugging along. And then the final bit of news that I want to talk about, speaking of kind of funny, by the way, Jared Petty, who is a part-time host and pundit, I guess you could say pundit, but part-time host mainly, for Kind of Funny, mainly appeared on the Kind of Funny Gamescast. He has acquired a new full-time job. He announced on his YouTube channel. He has not released any details as far as I know of right now what that job entails. He said it does involve writing and that we haven't seen the last of him, but he has departed Kind of Funny and Kind of Funny Games, and they had a nice little going away show for him this week, final show, and it was very sad. I wish Jared Petty, who is a longtime industry professional, the best going forward. So, wanted to touch on that and give a shout out to a very hardworking guy in the game industry. And that's going to do it for that is going to do it for episode 77 of the Super Grapple Bros podcast. A little unconventional. We had a lot of stuff going on today, but we got through it. Just want to let you guys know that you can watch this live and via VOD at Twitch, twitch.tv/L_Murpho. You can also watch the VOD on YouTube at youtube.com/LMurphoReal. You can listen to the audio version by searching Super Grapple Bros on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, lots of other places where podcasts can be found. Do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. We appreciate when you do, because then we can become an official rated podcast on Apple, and then more people can find us, and we get more people to talk about stuff with. Enjoy it. Do not forget also to sign up to Discord. We gave shout outs to Big Stupid, to Laser Scope, to Mets Fan, because they all participated in stuff that we were doing on the Discord server as far as the Rumble pool and viewer predictions. You can get involved in viewer predictions and any other kind of pool stuff that we might do in the future, maybe next year, by going to our Discord server. You can find the Discord server in the show notes on the audio version. You can find it in the video description on YouTube, and you can find it in the on the channel page in Twitch. So thank you very much. Speaking of Big Stupid, as I'm shouting it out, he gave a 5-bit cheer, which is just cheer, cheer, cheer. Did the chat ever show on screen? I don't know what you're talking about by chat. I guess not. No, I guess chat isn't showing up for me today. Yeah, I have the chat room open, but for some reason it is not showing up. Like, for some reason it's not showing up for me. So I'm sorry, Big Stupid, if you were in the chat all this entire episode and talking, because it never showed up today. So I apologize. Because you can get involved in the chat on Twitch, at twitch.tv/L_Murpho. But unfortunately, if anybody has contributed to the chat today and we did not read it off, I want to apologize to you guys, because we normally do that. We normally make sure that we read your guys' comments and discussions on the show on Twitch. But unfortunately, I never got any I never saw any messages show up. Yeah, now it's showing up as recording on here. So I apologize, guys, for that. So if you guys were chatting, contributing, I appreciate it. Big Stupid, if you want to put me in the chat and give me a description of just summarize what happened in the chat, who is talking, who is in here, I would appreciate it. I would like to know. But again, guys, Discord, you can head to it. You can find it in those different places. Join it. We have 2 channels on the Discord server for Super Grapple Bros, which is, 1, the viewer predictions, which we mentioned before, where you can go ahead. We will, every time there is a WWE pay-per-view, I will post a card, and then myself and DMurph's picks, and then you guys can submit your picks. If you tie or beat either of us, or if you're the top viewer predictions, which Big Stupid was, you will get a shout-out on the review episode of the pay-per-view. There it is, Discord. I saw that in chat. He gave the Discord command, did Big Stupid. Thank you for that, Big Stupid. So chat's finally working now at the end of the podcast. Like I said, it's been a bit of a rough episode this week. Apologize for that, but we're getting through it. We're doing what we can. Also, you can give us feedback. There's a feedback channel. Cinnabon wants you to check your whispers. All right, I will do that after the show. Thank you, Cinnabon. Thank you for Big Stupid for letting me know. Anyway, getting back to where I was. You can also leave questions, concerns, trivia, feedback on the show in Discord as well. We have a channel for that. You can also do it via email at supergrapplebros@gmail.com. And then do not forget, on the Discord server, we also like to put out announcements. I put out an announcement whenever I go live, be it playing gameplay or for Super Grapple Bros podcast. We also will send that out on Twitter. I am at L_Murpho. DMurph is at DMurph_42. We also like to do our rambling random tweets of various levels of entertainment and commentary on stuff in the wrestling world and just life in general, gaming, stuff like that. So be sure to check us out there. And that is going to do it for episode 77 of the Super Grapple Bros podcast. And we are going to leave you with the final episode, or with the wow, I'm really out of it today. Sorry, guys. With the kayfabe article news headline of the week of the episode. And I'm trying to find something, because with DMurph had, I'm not sure if we want to do that. So I guess we will I'm going to go with, wow. We're going to go with this one, with this kayfabe news headline of the episode. And it says, wrestling fans worldwide awake pleasantly surprised that Royal Rumble match is still happening. There we go. So, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been episode 77 of Super Grapple Bros podcast. Appreciate you guys with your patience for this unconventional episode. But we're getting out of here. Until we see you guys next time. Peace, deuce, deuce, deuce. Laters. Bye-bye now. Bye. 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 Bye.
Shut up and sit down.